Hello, Sunshine Fam. Today, don't take this offensively, but I don't want to really address any of you. Who I want to address are 4 people that are in leadership roles for this country. And I want to add somebody to the list that I did not previously speak about. So the 4 people that I want to address in this video are who I refer to as Nicolae Carpathia, the so-called leader of the world, apparently. I would like to address Karoline Leavitt, the cocky little 28-year-old who laughs when reporters ask her a serious question. Thinks she's Little Miss Know-It-All. Kristi Noem, who spews lies within minutes of people being murdered, thinking that she knows what's going on, and doesn't even bother to apologize for her mistakes. Actually, none of them do. And this new person that really has my blood boiling. A person by the name of Pam Bondi. Oh yeah, we're starting to know her name, aren't we? But first I want to give all of you an update. Yes, I did get to meet with my state representative. Unfortunately, a lot of the questions I had for him could not be answered by him because he is at a state level, and he said a lot of my questions, although they were good ones, were something that I would have to take at a federal level. So he referred me to one of our congresswomen, and I've been debating whether or not I want to continue with that because things are changing for the better here in Minnesota. So let me just address that to start with. Ever since Greg Bavino was kicked out and demoted and sent to a small little town about an hour east of San Diego, California, on the border of California and Mexico, along with a handful of agents. I've never heard them mention how many. And they brought in Tom Homan. And I know in one of my last videos I did say I was a little bit concerned because they call him the border czar. And that name kind of, has authoritarian things. And I didn't know if it was going to get worse under him, but it has actually gotten a lot better. So I'm sure a lot of you have seen in the news, but I'm just going to reiterate what I've heard. Now, I can't say any of this from personal experience because, as you know, I have been holed up in my apartment since about December 8th. I do get out once in a while, obviously for physical therapy, but also to meet with friends and stuff, do shopping. But the majority of my time since December 8th has been spent in my apartment. And to those of you that are new, it's because I fell at work. I fractured my bone in my upper left shoulder, so I have been on leave from work since then. I will be going back to work within the next month, thankfully, because I am going stir crazy. And for those of you that are new to my channel that I welcomed last time, one thing you may or may not know about me, if you have or have not seen my previous videos, I do a lot of research, and I don't use a lot of news media outlets, because this news outlet will say this thing, and this news outlet will contradict what they're saying, and they'll say something totally different. So yes, I go to Google. You can't always believe everything you read on Google, but it's backed up by YouTubers that I follow, like Luke Beasley is one of them. Jon Stewart is another one. He is really funny when he comes out because he speaks the truth in such a way. His delivery of it is what makes it funny. Some other stand-up comedians are talking about these topics as well, especially what's been going on here in Minnesota, Minneapolis area. So I do a lot of research, and I bring that research to you. And if you want to continue to do the research, and if what I'm saying is contradictory to what you're reading, I welcome you to put your comments below and let me know what I've gotten wrong so that I can correct that on a future video. And I will admit and apologize for my mistakes, unlike these 4. So, to talk a little bit about, to continue this, what we are hearing here in the Twin Cities is that the governor, I haven't seen much from the mayor lately, but the governor is now stepping up, and he is working with Tom Homan to resolve all of this. And our efforts are working. They did do, and I think I did put this in a previous video, that the nation had also done like an ice out strike the week after we did ours here in the Twin Cities. It was literally a week later. And I think that was last Friday. So we in Minnesota thank you for standing up for us. And I'm sure you also did it for yourselves because there's ice everywhere. And I'm not talking about the water stuff. So from what I understand, the rest, if not the majority, of the ICE agents that were brought in to our state either in December or January, I don't remember which day it was or which month it was, they are now going to be leaving. So we are all very thankful. Yes, there are still protests going on out there, and despite what Pam Bondi seems to think, and the Democrats and the Republicans and blah, 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 I don't put a lot of weight on titles. They seem to think that we are not holding peaceful protests, and that's why all these arrests have happened. Those people in Washington are not walking our streets. Not even J.D. Vance when he came to town. He did not walk on the streets and go amongst the protesters that are out there and see how ICE agents are running their raids. We are doing things lawfully. Yes, we have made mistakes. The church invasion that one Sunday, I do not condone that. That was not us. That was a few people, and now that I can't remember what they said his name was, but that reporter that was kind of alongside them, he was not in there protesting. He was just reporting. So you cannot fault him for that. No, he didn't stop it, but that's not his job. His job is to be a reporter. He could have, I suppose, gotten in touch with our local police department and have them step in, but he probably didn't know it was going to go to that level. Maybe he did. I don't know. I haven't been following that story that much. But Don Lemon, that's his name. Now he's under scrutiny. And he said, go ahead. Take me to court. I don't care. He's not hiding from it. He was practicing his First Amendment rights. Freedom of the press. So things are turning around. They are getting better here in Minnesota. Although I did hear that there was a car chase in St. Paul last night that ended up in a crash. I guess ICE was following on a Honduras man, and I don't know much about it. I just kind of briefly looked at the story. So any of you that might have more information about this, comment below. And I guess the guy ran from ICE and crashed into several cars. Nobody was killed. I think the Honduras guy was taken to the hospital. I don't know if the guy was here. I'm not even going to say illegally anymore, because the state representative corrected me on when I kept saying that. He said undocumented immigrants. Nobody's here illegally. So he corrected me on that. So some of the questions I asked him were with Renee Good. Where is Jonathan Ross? Nobody seems to know. He's out of state. That's all he was able to tell me. Why hasn't he or ICE made a statement? He couldn't answer that. Will he be brought to justice? The state representative said he hoped so, but he couldn't answer it. A lot of these questions, he said I'd have to talk to somebody at the federal level. Although he was impressed with my questions. I asked about Alex Preddy and where his phone was, but we all know that ICE agents have it with the video footage. As far as I know, they haven't released Alex Preddy's video footage from his phone from the day he was murdered. We now know the identity of the two people that killed him. I don't remember what they are. I didn't write that down. I asked where was Gray Jacket. I just call him Gray Jacket, even an agent, because he wasn't wearing what I could see in the videos, he wasn't wearing the green jacket or the green vest that ICE agents did, but he did disarm Preddy and then ran off right before the shooting. I mean, seconds. Were they after the woman they shoved in the snow? I think I've answered that question myself. It sounds like she was just part of the protest. She was just in the street or whatever, but when they pushed her, she was off the street and they shoved her into the snow. And then the other lady that Alex was helping was trying to help her up at the same time Alex was, and then they attacked Alex, and so the other person was helping the lady they shoved into the snow up, and then she ran down towards Pink Jacket, which she has also been identified. She has come out and told her story. I didn't write down her name. I'm not very organized in that respect in this video for that. Will the agents be brought to justice? He said the same thing. He hoped so, but he couldn't answer that question. And then I told him about my main reason for meeting with him is that, and this still gets me, even with these Pam Bondi hearings that I was watching a little bit of it just before I came on here, which really has just can't stand her. She's so entitled. And so rude. But they make it sound like it's only these illegal immigrants, these undocumented immigrants that are causing these problems. Well, what I was really applauding was one of the Congress people that were in the hearing said more than 50% of these violent crimes are being committed by Americans, not by these undocumented immigrants, which I was happy that he came out and said that. So I was talking to him about those people too, that these people were, to my state representative, I was talking about the Rocking Horse Daycare, which I don't know if I mentioned this in one of my videos, but there was an 18-year-old that had only been working at this daycare in Savage, Minnesota, which is on the south end of the Twin Cities. She had only been working there for like 2 months around these infants, and it was only 2 infants, but it was 3 instances, 2 with 1 baby and 1 with the 3rd baby, where she tried to strangle them to death. And she got scared with the first baby because the baby started turning blue. So I guess she was putting her fingers down the baby's throat and got scared. So she took her fingers out of the baby's throat, and that baby survived. But the second baby, she didn't look when she was doing it, and she did it to get attention. And it took them several months of investigation to find out who this girl was, and she is now behind bars. But she's an American citizen. FLDS cults, David Koresh, Chris Hansen shows, Aileen Wuornos. For those of you that don't know, she was the woman. She's now dead, but she was a prostitute, and she was killing these men that were coming out that she hooked up with. She was kind of whacked out of her brain too. Timothy McVeigh, Ted Bundy, John Muhammad and Lee Malvo, those were the Beltway shooters, the snipers. Those were, well, maybe not John Muhammad so much and Lee Malvo. I don't know if they were U.S. citizens, but the rest of them were all American citizens. and look at the destruction they cause. They created violent crimes. I asked true or false statements. ICE agents failed the open book written test, and they're not required to take the physical fitness test. His response was, and I quote, "It wouldn't surprise me," which I find funny. Many are pardoned criminals from January 6th. He said that doesn't surprise me. Why won't they show their face? And he said pretty much what everybody else has been saying, to hide their identity. Can they enter private locations without a judicial warrant? The absolute truth is absolutely not. So I know that I had posted on my regular Facebook page about that CNN was reporting that there was a policy that said that they could enter a home without a judicial warrant. So the gentleman that they arrested in sub-zero temperatures, that wasn't even the right guy, wasn't even the right house, that they brought him out in shorts and like flip-flops or whatever in cold temperatures, they entered his house illegally. And these people are not being brought to justice. That's Pam Bondi, seriously. Will DC ever apologize for their lies? He said probably not. He said it would be nice, though. Pam Bondi's letter to Governor Walz. I don't know if you heard about this. This was a few weeks ago, where Pam Bondi said, "Yeah, we'll take ICE out of your city if you'll give us your voter stuff." When I told him about that, he said, "Don't even get me started." He said the letter is true, that Governor Walz did receive the letter, but there was no basis for it. And he called it extortion. Now, when I hear the word extortion, I always feel that extortion has to do with money. So that's why I didn't want to use the word extortion with it. It's a form of blackmail, which I guess blackmail and extortion might be the same thing, just two different words. But to me, extortion involves money. Like, you give me so much money and I'll release, or otherwise I'll release all this information I know about you. Kind of like what's going on with Nancy Guthrie, which I hopefully will get into that here too. And then I told him about the ICE agent, Alexander Stephen Back, is 41. He's an ICE employee, or was. He was arrested for January 6th. He was pardoned by Trump on the first day of Trump's presidency. He is an illegal immigrant, or undocumented immigrant, and he was arrested for trying to entice a minor in Bloomington, Minnesota. And he was one of 16 people that did this. And he had heard about that, but he didn't know a lot of details. And then I asked him, do ICE agents have pictures of those they're targeting, or just names? Are they really under immunity? He said the immunity thing, absolutely not. The other question, he said I'd have to talk to a federal person for that, congressperson. Why couldn't our own ICE agents run these operations? Do they really have a quota of 3,000 per day nationwide? Are there even any Biden illegal immigrants left to arrest? He couldn't answer any of those. Should we be concerned about Tom Homan? I said, will we see more of the same, or will it get better? Well, I just answered that question for you. Did Renee Good have a dash cam? He said he doesn't believe that she did. And after I wrote this question, I did look that up, and I did not find any evidence that she did have a dash cam. So if she did, it would be really good evidence to say that Jonathan Ross was in the wrong. So I wanted to remind you of just names. I'm not going to go through their crimes or anything, but going along the lines of what Pam Bondi is saying, and all of them are saying that only they're using the term illegal immigrants. I'm going to start using undocumented immigrants because of what the representative told me, are committing, I keep saying committing these violent crimes. Tyler Robinson, you can look these people up, or go back to my last video and look it up, because I did talk more about it. Thomas Crooks, Nicholas Cruz, Robin Westman, Stephen Paddock, we all know his name, Harvey Weinstein, Jeffrey Epstein, Ghislaine Maxwell, Adam Lanza, And then human trafficking rings in the U.S. Pam Bondi, when I was watching the hearing from, I guess it was yesterday or 2 days ago, I was watching it this morning on YouTube. She's like, yeah, we've brought the human trafficking rings down, these sex crimes rings down by so many, 9 million or whatever since Trump took office, and that's a really good thing. I'm like, you don't know the information I have. In 2023, there were reports of 9,619 cases with 16,999 victims for human trafficking. And the hotline had received over 112,000 cases that were reported. That's not to say that there's millions more that haven't been reported. And then they talk about, this is what really got my blood boiling when I was watching this Pam Bondi hearing from yesterday to this morning. All these people keep pointing to Minnesota in a bad light, thinking that we're all part of the one fraud case that we had. Like all of Minnesota is bad because of this one fraud case. Oh, this just, okay. I know, I need to calm down. My Irish side, I'm sorry. The people that were part of that fraud case, before they even brought ICE in here, our own law enforcement, had arrested all those people, had gone through the court system, and those people are sitting in jail. It's a handful of people, and yes, a lot of them were Somali, if not all of them. I didn't delve into that one. But it just irks me. Okay, so it goes back to 9/11 for me. We all, and I'm just as guilty of this, we all blamed every Muslim for the acts of 9/11. We cannot keep doing that. It was, 13, 15 something people that hijacked those planes that day. 4 planes were hijacked. There were many more that were supposed to be, according to my research from years ago. But 4 planes got hijacked. And yes, there was a plethora of people behind them funding it and everything else, including Ramzi Youssef, who's now sitting in a Colorado prison. Thank your government for that your tax dollars are keeping him there, as well as Zacarias Moussaoui. He's in the same prison, I think. He's in a high security prison. I don't know if it's the same one, but both of them are sitting in Colorado. Probably a good place for them, but whatever. But it's like, we can't blame we cannot blame an entire city, an entire state, an entire country, an entire religion, an entire nationality over the acts of a few people. Do you agree with me? I can hear people like applauding me right now. I really can. And I think John is leading the charge on that. I mentioned John a lot. Many of you don't know who this John person is. I used to work with John. He and I are very good friends. We are not dating. We have no plans to date. Just want to make that very clear. I do mention him a lot. He's kind of the head of my Sunshine fam underneath me. But I don't ask him to be that way. He's very supportive of me, and I really appreciate him very, very much. So thank you, John, for being such a great friend. Scams. So this brings me from fraud into scams. Money scams, 2024 to 2025. 850,000 to 2.8 million per year for money scams. That equals 77% of Americans encounter a scam, which equals 2,300 per day. Are you hearing government mention that? No. They're just focused on the frauds that are going on here, and now Pam Bondi is mentioning that California is even worse than Minnesota for fraud. Scams are part of that. Thank you. Talk about that. In 2026, the highest scams are online purchases, phishing, and employment. I'm just reiterating what I've said in past videos. 2024, the losses from money scams was $12.5 billion, mostly cryptocurrency, which I guess includes Bitcoin, which again leads me back to Nancy Guthrie. I'm going to try and keep her name in my mind so that I can remember to talk about that a little bit. Love scams, late 2024. In the first 9 months, 42,000 plus were reported, totaling an amount of $823 million for love scams. A lot of these come out of like Africa and India. In 2023, 64,000 plus were reported. Trilogy Media is another group. Well, I shouldn't say group. Well, I guess it is kind of a group, but it was started by two guys that are like small-time actors that have kind of gotten into like the Chris Hansen kind of thing. They're on YouTube here, so you might want to check them out. They're called Trilogy Media. They started out just calling these scammers and wasting their time. And what's funny is that some of those scammers, because they've become so famous, Trilogy Media has, a lot of these scammers know them and they use Trilogy Media to get out of being a scammer. So Trilogy Media has been able to lessen the amount of people that are scamming other people out of money and getting them out of the situation they're in, which, good on Trilogy Media. Chris Hansen shows, okay? Talk about sex trafficking and sex crimes. Look at how popular Chris Hansen's shows have been. To Catch a Predator, Hansen versus Predator, Takedown with Chris Hansen, which is still on True Blue. Okay? Seriously? And going along the lines of sex crimes, how about U.S. cults? In Kansas, state of Kansas, Westboro Baptist, founded in 1955. That one's still going. Church of Wells in Wells, Texas, was founded in 2011. That one's still going. They drug people, they rape people. This one's not going anymore, but in Minnesota, Pine City, Minnesota, River Road Fellowship, Victor Bernard. That was going on from the 1990s to 2014 when the girls finally got smart and escaped and started telling police about it. You know, look what happened with David Koresh. And, you know, who was the guy? I can't think of his name. Okay. He was from the U.S. and he brought all those people down, the People's Church, I think he called it. And he brought them down to like northern South America. Jim Jones, Jonestown. Same thing. He was raping women. FLDS, they take multiple wives. They're part of the old Mormons. And they take multiple wives, including underage girls, and have sex with them. Why aren't they going after them? Let me remind you the information that I found, the public information that I found on Carolyn Levitt, that she should be out of office. I personally call Carolyn, Chrissy, and Pam the new Monica Lewinskys because they defend Trump so much. It's like, what kind of sexual favors are they granting him that they feel they have to defend him? Okay. In 2022, in their campaign, she accepted donations higher than the legal limit a single donor can contribute. The campaign still owes in excess of $325,000 to creditors and donors to this day. So what is she trying to do? They're seeking donations to pay back old campaign debts. So they're asking people to donate to their cause so that they can pay off this $325,000. So they're still trying to scam money out of the American public. Do not fall for it. So, and she's 28 and she's married to a guy that's in his 60s. And they're expecting their second child. To me, that's sick. Kristi Noem. Okay, let's talk about her a little bit. She didn't report an $80,000 income from a dark money group on federal forms that was paid to a personal company she established in Delaware in 2023. They think that, they want to point the fingers at all these other criminals. I'm sorry, isn't not reporting an income on federal papers considered criminal? Maybe I'm wrong. Comment below. Daughter's real estate appraiser license was denied. She engaged in misconduct when she sat in on a meeting with her daughter and state officials, ending with the state officials giving her daughter a second chance. Now, in my opinion, in order to get a real estate license, appraisal license, don't you have to be an adult? So why do you need mommy holding your hand? Don't need to. She shouldn't have been involved in that. So that was an ethics thing. She used state-owned planes for political and family travel. She spent in upwards of $650,000 on state credit cards, exceeding her predecessors. Made high-profile accusations against tribes and the FBI, which got her banned off of tribal land. And then I had information about this Tricia McLaughlin. I haven't really delved much into her. I don't really hear much about her. Although Kristi Noem isn't in the news as much, I'm noticing. There are two people by the name of Tricia McLaughlin. One is for this assistant secretary for public affairs for DHS, and one is for an artist in New York. So you got to be careful on who you're looking up if you're going to do more information on this or research. She made false and misleading statements regarding viral immigration videos and cases. She previously was fired from a campaign over alleged signature fraud, questioning professional conduct and credibility, and misrepresented videos of police encounters, ICE detentions, and falsely claiming involvement in convicted criminals. These are the people that are kind of running our country right now. I didn't find a need to go into Nicolae Carpathia because we all know his background. And I'm not going to tell you about J.D. Vance because I just don't feel like getting into him. So now to address the four people that I really want to address. Nicolae Carpathia, Kristi Noem, Karoline Leavitt, and especially Pam Bondi. How many ears did God give you? And how many mouths did God give you? He gave everybody 2 ears and 1 mouth. And you want to know why? So that you listen twice as much as you talk. So shut your fecking mouths, okay? And listen to the questions that you are being asked. And answer the questions you're being asked instead of making a mockery of this country. Do you realize that the rest of the world hates us because of all of you? And Nicolae Carpathia, they're saying that he hates women. Obviously not, because he's got 3 women working for him that he praises that he won't fire. I think I asked in one of my videos why they don't just fire Kristi Noem. I did find that answer out today. Apparently the way that the laws are written, only the president can fire her, and Kristi Noem, and and Karoline Leavitt, and Pam Bondi, because he appointed them, so he's the only one that can fire them. Wish he would. Or they can be taken out by being not indicted. What's the word I'm looking for? You guys are all screaming it right now. It'll probably come to me. So I want to talk just a little bit about this Nancy Guthrie case, okay? I can't really get, I only got 47% on my phone. Okay, so what I want to do is I want to tell you my thoughts. I haven't really been following this case too much. I know about it, but I just started getting into it the other night. So what I wrote Okay, so on my Facebook page, this is what I wrote. While I'm still out of work for about another month, I've had nothing but time on my hands. I've been using that time to do a lot of research. I know I've posted a lot regarding ICE here in the Twin Cities, and I'd like to shift the focus slightly. Okay, I've already talked to you guys about that. Actually, no, not all of it. Okay, so I'll just read this. There's been a lot of focus on Renee Good and Alex Preddy, but they were numbers 8 and 9 of those killed by ICE. Not to make light of their murders, but do the other 7 people not matter as much? Those people had families too, and should be getting just as much airtime. Yes, some of them died while in custody, but that makes them no less important. Ever since Bovino was demoted and shipped out of here, things have taken a drastic turn for the better, which I already talked to you about. Homan got rid of 700 agents, and it sounds as though the rest will be leaving in the next week as well. Where was Homan to begin with? My feelings are that Renee and Alex would still be alive had Bovino not been here. He was the real problem. I feel for the people in Southern California because that's where he was sent to. Now let's move on to another bizarre story making headlines. Who else thinks this focus on Nancy Guthrie is strange? Please leave your comments below on your opinions. Again, not to take away from her, but people are kidnapped daily. The fact this story is front page news is because 1, she's an 84-year-old woman, and 2, she's the mother of a famous daughter who works on the Today Show. This particular story is so strange. An 84-year-old held for ransom? The family can't even get confirmation that she's still alive. The authorities can't get video footage for 10 days. In this day and age? It's like whoever did this is living out a movie or something. Then, for the amount of money to go from millions to a mere $300. Let me correct that a minute. Because after I wrote this, then I figured it out. Because yesterday, I read in our local paper, because I can't get into CNN things anymore because you have to be a member, I guess. A letter was sent to TMZ, not the family. The family is not getting these letters, which I think I go into here. And this person doesn't seem to be associated with the kidnappers, but they're asking for 1 Bitcoin. So I'm like, 1 Bitcoin? And it's to release the name of the person that has Nancy Guthrie. Again, going back to extortion. Give me this money and I'll give you what you want. Apparently 1 Bitcoin is worth $66,000. At least yesterday it was. So $300, they're making it sound like it's $300, but if it's $300 in Bitcoin and 1 Bitcoin is $66,000, that is a lot of money. But apparently the money was put into this Bitcoin wallet. I don't know if it was ever taken out. I've only been following this story closely since last night, 2 nights ago. Here's my theories. The blood on the front porch being hers. She didn't take her medicine. It happened in the middle of the night. Whoever took her was in the house for 45 minutes. I sadly feel she didn't survive. I'm thinking these weren't professionals for the simple fact the doorbell camera footage, they were in the house for that long. Usually a kidnapping is a snatch, grab, and flee. There likely was a struggle in the house. They killed her in the house, panicked, and then took her out, and she's buried in a shallow grave in the desert somewhere. This is just my opinion, okay? This is not what I'm getting from the news. I mean, why send apparent ransom notes to TV stations? Or, another theory, they still have her, and the fact her daughter has mentioned about her medication is why they accepted the $300 to get her medication. I don't know. The motive seems to have everyone puzzled. The video footage has me baffled. How is it after 10 days, it just mysteriously appears from Google? The news outlets keep saying it's a dead giveaway. The way the person walked, the clothing, the fact you can see the eyes and mouth. First off, it happened in the middle of the night. The person was either drunk or half asleep. It was on a Saturday night, after all. That would explain the gait. There's no tags on the backpack. Yeah, okay. They could have removed those right before this happened. I don't know if you've seen the video. I'm sure you have by this time. But could you pick a person out of a lineup with the limited visual of their eyes and mouth? And then I put, can you tell I've been bored? So that's just my feeling on this Nancy Guthrie case. Please, I urge you to leave your comments below on maybe what you've learned that, I'm trying to stay out of the news. It's brightened my mood quite a bit, except for this Pam Bondi thing now today. But leave me your thoughts. Tell me if you've seen something different than what I'm reporting here so that I can kind of look into it a little bit more. Do your own research, please. Don't rely on just me or other YouTubers to do it. Do your own research. Don't take it from the news media always. Because, unless it's a local news media, then they're more privy on what's going on. As opposed to, say, CNN, MSNBC, Fox News, CBS, ABC, whatever. So I just wanted to get that out of the way. So now I want to address Nicolae Carpathia and Pam Bondi. Those two cannot shut their mouths. I see so many press conferences with Nicolae Carpathia. For those of you that don't know who I'm talking about the president. I refuse to use his real name. Nicolae Carpathia is a fictitious character in the Christian book series Left Behind. I urgently request that you, or I recommend that you read the books or listen to the dramatic audio on YouTube. Just type in Left Behind dramatic audio and just start listening to it. It's not a movie, but it's like listening to a movie. Actors, sound effects, all that stuff. It basically goes through the whole book of Revelation and in the Bible. But a lot of what these authors, there were two authors, one has since passed away, a lot of what these authors have said about their character of Nicolae Carpathia, who ended up being the Antichrist, is exactly why I call our president Nicolae Carpathia, because he's doing the exact same things that this book series has said that the Antichrist was doing in these books. So it's astonishing to me that nobody else can see this. Or a lot of people can't. But a lot of times, it's these women reporters that are asking questions of Carpathia. And it's basically what the rest of us want to know. And he shuts them down. Instead of answering their questions or letting them finish asking their questions, he automatically asks, oh, what news organization are you with? Oh, you're fake news. Okay. ABC is fake news. Fox News is fake news. CNN is fake news. NBC is fake news. MSNBC. If all these news media outlets are fake news, what's real news, Nicolae Carpathia? If all of these people stopped coming to your press conferences, you'd be sitting in an empty room, talking to yourself and admiring your little precious ballroom all by yourself. Then you'd have no cameras on you. Maybe that's what the news outlets should do. The next press conference, just nobody show up. Let him sit in a room by himself, talking to himself with nobody listening. Except for the people that are supporting him, which is very, very small, by the way. So that was another thing I wanted to bring up here. I looked it up today under The Economist about his approval rating. Right now, his rating is at a negative 18%. It's down by 0.3 points from last week. 0.3% points since last week. 38% approve, 56% disapprove, and 6% are not sure. In his first term, at this time, he was at a little bit higher, closer to a negative 10%, and Biden was at about 7%. I'm sorry, he was at negative 12% at this time in his first term on this date. Biden was at a negative 7%. They are so quick at saying how incompetent Biden was and how terrible of a president he was. Well, if that's the case, why are your numbers down so much? That's what I'd like to know. So there's a way that you can go into, let me pull this up. Oh wait, oh those are pictures, okay. There's a way that you can go into each state to see what the approval rating is of each state. So let me pull that up real quick because my battery is starting to die a little bit. Under The Economist. So on the bottom, underneath, you'll see it says by state. So I'm going to click on that. And then it comes up with this little map. Okay, all the red states are negative. All the gray states are positive. Idaho seems to be the only one that's really positive for him. But if I click on Idaho, he's only up by 30.9% in Idaho. DC, negative 79.6% is his net approval rating in DC. They are the highest with the negative approval rating in the country. Minnesota, 22.9% negative. Vermont seems to be another one, 42.8%. New Mexico, 35.4%. Oh, and then he bragged about winning Pennsylvania. They're at a negative 20.1%. And he claims to have won Minnesota 3 times. That's not true. So the other states that approve are Montana with a net approval rating of 3.7%. Oh, woo! Let's celebrate that. North Dakota, 8.8% in the positive. Wyoming, 19.3%. Oh my goodness, let's celebrate. Nebraska, 0.1%. Okay. West Virginia, 15.6% approve of him. Arkansas, 4.7% on the positive. Alabama, 2.8%. And Oklahoma, not Louisiana, Oklahoma, 0.7%. Woohoo! Let's go to our ballroom and dance because of these approval ratings. Seriously? 50 states and 8 states approve in the positive. Put that in your pipe and smoke it, Carpathia. You can look that up on The Economist. I'm not making it up. I am not making it up. They all seem to shy away from any question that has to do with the Epstein files. What a slap in the face to the survivors, a handful of which were sitting in on these meetings yesterday, or this hearing yesterday. And one of the congresswoman, I believe, asked her if she would turn around to the survivors that were sitting right behind her, I'm talking about Pam Bondi, and apologize to them for not redacting their names and faces and nude photos of them when they should have been done, because a lot of these family members of the survivors didn't even know that these girls were being trafficked out because they kept it quiet from their own families. And now the families obviously know because their names are in these unredacted files. So now the families are finding out for the first time. And they keep pointing to the Biden administration. Why didn't you ask these questions of the people in the Biden administration? Why is it all of a sudden becoming an issue when Trump goes back into office? I'm sorry, Nikolai Carpathia goes back into office the second time. Why does it matter? As Dr. Phil used to say, not even God can change what has happened. Stop looking to the past and look at today. And they haven't released all of the files because there were supposed to be 6 million pages that were released and only 3 million have been released. So they've only released half of them. Why didn't we talk about it before? Maybe they did and they just didn't make it public. And maybe it took you guys that long because maybe, number one, a lot of these girls didn't come forward during Biden's time because they were too embarrassed. Number two, Biden had nothing to do with it. I don't know if Biden's name is in there. I haven't delved into those because I don't feel like looking through 3 million pages of documentation. Although you can look up names and say, okay, is this person listed? And how many times is this person listed? They're saying that Carpathia's name wasn't in the Epstein files that many times, but they can't say how many times, which I thought was really funny. And even the person that asked that question from Kash Patel, he's like, okay, well, his name appeared in there 1,000 times. No, it didn't, Kash Patel says. Okay, was it about 500 times? No. Was it about 100 times? No. Well, how many times? I don't know. And the congressperson that asked it was laughing his head off, and I was too. It was hysterical. Unbelievable. And they want to focus on the Dow Jones and how this is the first time in American history that the Dow Jones has been this high. And they want to sit there and say that Carpathia is the best president we've ever had in this country. They obviously don't know their history, do they? I did an entire 4 years of research on our past presidents. In my opinion, Hoover sent us into a depression. Within 9 days of FDR taking office, he reopened 1,000 banks within the first 9 days of his presidency. He turned this country around from depression. And yes, we did have World War II during FDR's time. But for Carpathia and all of his lemmings to say that he is the greatest president simply because he closed the borders and he did this and he did that. You know what else he did on his first day as president? He pardoned hundreds of people, which I think I started this video with, that broke into the Capitol building. You want to know who paid to have all that destruction fixed? You did. I did. The taxpayers. They did not make those people accountable. They sent them to jail, and then on Carpathia's first day in office in his second term, he pardoned all of them. And you know where most of them are at? They are our ICE agents that are out on the streets right now. Including the guy that I told you about that was rearrested for trying to entice a minor in Bloomington, Minnesota. And he's one of 16 people that were doing that. So guess what? He's back in jail. Is he going to be pardoned again? He's an illegal, he's a illegal immigrant. I wasn't going to use that term. I'm losing my mind again. Undocumented immigrant. That's what Carpathia did for this country. He renamed the Gulf of Mexico to the Gulf of America. And he said that because the majority of the Gulf borders America. No, it doesn't. Look it up. The majority of that water borders Mexico. And he renamed a mountain in Washington back to Mount McKinley. How is that making America great again? Let's talk about things that they're using nowadays that they make it sound like it's just brand new. MAGA, make America great again. You know who first said it? President Ronald Reagan. That's right. And as a matter of fact, let's see what else we got here. When I looked up, not this one, They were talking about fentanyl and bringing drugs into this country, and this Pam Bondi thing too. Fentanyl, I looked it up to see if people could like make it in their basements or whatever, to see if it was easily manufactured here. Can't find any information on that. It's being manufactured from things that are taken from China, sent to Mexico. They're making it in Mexico and bringing it into the country. So why did they have to go into Venezuela to whatever? Fentanyl has been around for over 60 years. First developed in 1959 to 1960 and introduced into medical practices in the 1960s. It was synthesized by Dr. Paul Janssen in Belgium as a fast-acting, highly potent intravenous anesthetic. Here's a breakdown of the history and evolution of fentanyl. Do your research. 1959 to 1960 was the development. Dr. Paul Janssen first synthesized fentanyl in 1960. 1960s medical introduction. It was introduced for use in healthcare as an intravenous anesthetic in the 1960s, notably approved by the FDA in 1968 for use in the United States. So it's not a new thing. 70s to the 80s, illicit appearance. While used legally for pain management and surgery, the first instances of illicit non-medical use of fentanyl emerged in the 1970s. Why was this not being talked about back then? Oops. 1990s, new delivery systems. In the 1990s, the fentanyl patch was developed to treat chronic pain, and more user-friendly delivery methods like lozenges, lollipops were introduced. Okay, that makes me not want to take cough drops anymore. 2013 through the present, the surge in illicit use. A significant rise in illicit, illegally manufactured fentanyl began around 2013 and 2014. Driving the third wave of the modern opioid epidemic, according to the DEA. Today, fentanyl is known for being 50 to 100 times more potent than morphine. Are you hearing about these statistics in the news? What we need to do is we need to start doing our own research on things that we find important. Go to Google or wherever, not the news media, and find out this information. And then get it to these people that seem to think that it's such a problem now, making it sound like it wasn't a big issue over the past several decades. It was first produced in 59 to 60. So it's been around for 60 freaking years, okay? Unbelievable. Pam Bondi, I couldn't really find anything criminal in her background. She has a stellar, unfortunately, she has a stellar record. She used to be an attorney general down in Florida. I really wish we could get these people out of office because they are so entitled and they are so callous. They are narcissistic. They are self-seeking. They don't care about the people. As a matter of fact, I don't remember where I wrote this. I gotta watch my time here. Here. Oh, it was on Facebook. Okay, so let me go to Facebook. To my Facebook page. Yeah, my grandson turned a year old yesterday, so happy first birthday, Matthew. Okay, so this is what I wrote on my Facebook page about 4 hours ago. I am absolutely appalled at our so-called leadership. You have a narcissist who insults women reporters who don't bend over backwards to place a gold crown on his head, but worships women who appear to be his Monica Lewinsky by kissing his backside. I'm talking about Kristi Noem, Carolyn Levitt, and Pam Bondi. I know I'm kind of repeating myself. Here's facts, okay? And yes, some of this is taken from the news. He destroyed a piece of building that's part of our history, even going so far as to interrupt a meeting with oil executives to admire a slab of foundation of what is going to be some grand ballroom. He can't seem to decide who his allies are. Putin or Zelensky. China or not China. He wants to take over a piece of land covered in ice, a country he can't even get the name right in a speech, by the way. He kept calling it Iceland. Kidnaps the leader of another country simply to harvest resources he thinks should line his pockets. Correct me if I'm wrong in the comments. Pardons people who destroyed another American landmark that we taxpayers paid to repair. Praises those who murders innocent people. And some of you don't see why I compare him to Nicolae Carpathia. How about looking at his approval rating? I know I'm kind of revamping here, but out of 50 states, only 8 give him a positive rating. DC has the highest negative rating at more than 70%. I was going to change that to almost 80%. Look at the graph below and see his rating is below. I didn't write that correctly. And see his rating is below even his first term. It's time for new leadership. Put aside the titles and let's get people in leadership roles who have our best interests in mind. After all, this country was founded by men who said this country is by, for, and about the people. Enough? I think so. So, my next video, I promise not to make it so heated. Sea-Dog told me I should stay away from these videos of these people. I really should, but, you know, you got to keep up with things, you know? You got to educate yourself. Because these are people that are running your life. Do you want them to continue doing that? He may have done some good things. But during the shutdown, he was also taking away food programs. And his shutdowns have been the longest in history. So how can he be the greatest president when his government shutdowns have exceeded far beyond previous presidents? And I have reported on that too. I don't remember which video it was, but it was one of those that I think was one of the 5 that I made about ICE. So you'll have to go back and look at those. They're more of my recent videos. The ones that don't have much ICE in it, I do put in parentheses, no ICE references, so that Silver Star could watch them, because she's going to be going for jury duty next week. So a lot of these videos that I'm putting information in, she might get called up for the case. So that's why in those videos I made it not so much about ICE, or not a lot of details about ICE, just in case she gets called up for some of those court hearings or something. She said that it's supposed to be only on the federal level, but I don't know about that. So go back and watch those videos. But in my next videos, I plan to start my family tree videos, my ancestry videos, which I believe I'm going to call Who Am I? It's going to be a series. So I'll put it in playlists. I'm going to start, I've done as much research as I can right now. I'm going to continue doing research on the further up the tree I go. So I'm going to start, the bottom of the tree is going to be my 4 grandkids from my oldest daughter, and then go up to my children and their spouses. 2 of them are married. And then to me and my siblings, and then to my parents and their siblings. That's going to be the first video, as much as I can put into that. And then from there, I'll go off on one side, so like probably my father's side, maybe go up to my grandparents, or my grandparents and great-grandparents for one video. And then on my paternal grandmother's side, I've got more information. I've got one more generation back on my grandfather's side, which I was able to find. I did go to the library and find more information about that. I'm still looking at getting more information as far as like dates, places, occupations, that kind of thing. I did find our Irish roots. I had to go way back on my mom's side. But I'll probably do it after me and my parents and their siblings, then I'll probably go 2 generations at a time. So grandparents and great-grandparents, and then 2 and 3 times great-grandparents, and then 4 and 5 times great-grandparents. So my sister has a lot of information on my dad's computer that she now has, that he had done research years ago. So I'm going to go and meet with her. She did send me that information, and I used some of that information to add to my family tree. Stuff that she had I didn't have, and some stuff that I have she doesn't have. So I'm going to meet with her at her place this coming a week from today, or a week from Friday, or next Wednesday, I guess it is. And we're going to swap notes and see if I can get more information that way. Otherwise, I might just go back to the library, look at their websites and see if I can get more information, or go to the website that I'm researching, which is called Family Search. Certain information you can get for free if you want to. I mean, some of the documentation, it does give you a picture of like a census record, but it doesn't give occupations. So I am able to look up a little bit of information that way, but if I wanted to get more documentation, I'd have to pay for it, and I don't really want to do that. So as my battery is getting very, very close to dying out now, which means I've been talking for about an hour, which is going to take a few hours for this to upload. I'm going to go ahead and shut up now, but I'm going to start my next video either later today or tomorrow. I have to upload this video on my computer, and then while that's uploading, I'm going to have to plug in my camera to recharge the battery again. I really should get another battery for my camera. I might do that once my taxes come in, and that way, well, it would still have to be another, well, if I want to do 2 videos at 2 different videos, then I can do 2 different videos at the same time and not have to wait for the battery to be recharged. But anyway, that's going to be my next set of videos. So I hope you will join me for that. But thank you for joining me today. Hope you guys are all doing well. Continue to do your research. Please leave your comments below about how you feel about the Nancy Guthrie story, how you feel about this Pam Bondi thing, or Bondi, however you want to say it. I really can't stand the woman because she thinks that she's me. You don't want to. I'm not going to answer your question because you don't really want to hear the answer. Blah 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 blah. I'm going to refrain. Okay. So, hope you guys are having a good day. Hope you guys have a good weekend. And as it's Thursday. And we'll see you guys on the next one. Have a sunny day. Bye-bye.